Merry Christmas, everybody. So I'm back. I told you I'd be back today to do a slightly different holiday look. Yesterday I did green and gold. Today I'm going to do silver. I might do a little blue in there too. So we're going to be doing several different palettes. But we're going to start like we usually do with the primers and all that good stuff. If you've already seen all this stuff, you are probably going to skip ahead a little bit in the video if you want to. I like to cover all my bases. So, the Glorious Face Primer is like literally the best primer ever. I've tried a lot of different ones, including some very, very, very expensive ones, and this one tops them all. I'm not going to go into the expensive brands, but it had 24 karat gold flakes in it. Yes, and if you're thinking of Mamma Mia with Tanya's face cream with the 24 karat gold flakes, yes, that's about kind of what it was. And everything, and it was nice. It was nice, but it just didn't do as good a job as this one does. Alright, so the palettes I'm going to be using palette 2, which is the silvers and the blacks and the grays, but I might be picking up some colors from palette 4 for the blues, because that's where we have the nice navy and denim blue, and I might be picking up the silver shade from palette 5. So, but we're going to start off with the Dainty Splurge Shadow, which is kind of a light, pale, silvery shade, silvery gray or some kind of shade there. That's what it reminds me of. Alright, so eyeshadow primer on. And I think today, since I am going to be doing quite a bit of darker shades on my eyes, I'll probably wait and do, excuse me, the rest of my makeup and my foundation, stuff like that, afterwards. So we just have primer on right now. I'm going to go ahead and curl my lashes. By the way, if you love the 3D fiber lash, there's an announcement coming out soon. I'll tell you, it's something big. I'll let you know probably later on this week what that announcement is. But be excited, it's something really cool coming. So, I sleep with a sleep mask on, and I tend to sleep face down too, so my eyelashes get smushed down really bad, so I have to really give them a good curl. It's better if I can heat my eyelash curler, but I haven't brought my small hair dryer in here just to plug up next to my makeup table to do so. But that's a good idea. I might need to do that now. Okay. Alright, so eyelashes are curled. So, moving on. Find my cream shadow brush, which I actually used yesterday with the Elegant. We're going to be using it with Dainty today. So, Dainty is this shade, which is really a very light silver. Has like a tiny hint of purple in it, but that works fine. So this is actually going to be another base along with the eyeshadow primer for my shadows to kind of sit on. Alright, so get a little bit of that. The thing about the splurges, you don't have to have a ton of product. You just need a little bit. A little bit goes a long way. And my friend in upline, Miss Brittany McBean, says don't go above your, you shouldn't go above your, or she doesn't recommend, let me rephrase that. She doesn't recommend taking shimmer above your crease, but I take it all the way up because that's the way I like it. I like shimmer. I was probably a showgirl in a past life or something because shimmer just really, I really like it. So, but as she says, do what you're comfortable with. Do what you do. However you feel pretty, however you feel beautiful, that's the way to do it. So you can see I'm working this all the way up to the brow bone. And the Dainty is actually like super duper sparkly. I don't know if you can tell that. You probably can tell that a little bit in the lighting here. It is super duper sparkly. So, inner corner, all that good stuff. So, that is the Splurge. So, let's see. I need palette 2 and palette 4 and 5. So let's take a look. I think from palette 2, I'm actually going to go over top of my splurge with Romantic, which is this really pretty shimmery pearlescent shade. Just to kind of set it. You don't need a lot, just a little bit. Just kind of set it and mat it down a little bit. Make sure it's going to stay put. Also makes things blend a little easier. And I think for my transition shade here, let's see, let me get my brush here. Make sure it's clean. Okay. I think for my transition shade on this, I am going to use... Perplexed is a little dark on this, but Hopeless is a little light. So Perplexed is the one that's down here. That one. Hopeless is the one that's all the way up here. I think what I might do is blend a little bit of the Perplexed with a little bit of the Hopeless. Just a touch of the Perplexed. Like dab dab. And a little bit of the Hopeless. And this is just my transition shade going right in the crease. That's actually perfect. Just a slightly darker gray than my base. Still pearly and shimmery and everything, so that's nice. Alright. Can anybody actually get their eyes like really even? I have a hard time with my left eye and my right eye being slightly different when I finish my makeup. I guess it's because I'm using my right hand on my left eye and it just doesn't really work that way. You know, the whole dominant side. See, that's why you don't do that's why you don't do your foundation when you're doing dark colors. Because you get that nice fallout that would ruin your under eye concealer. Alright, so you can see that's just already a nice like transition blendy shade of the gray. And I think, let's see, for my darker shade is going to be the Navy Triumphant from palette 4, which almost looks black, so probably between these two. But as I want it a little bit shimmery, I'm going to probably dip into Blissful, which is this shade in the palette 2. So I just want a little bit of shimmer in there. Because like I said, I love shimmer. If you don't love shimmer, go with the matte. But I'm going to take a little bit of the Triumphant. I actually think I'll mix a little bit of the Triumphant and the Cheerful, which is the two darker blues, the medium and the navy. And then go into Blissful to pick up some shimmer. And that's going to be outer V of the eye. And I can actually darken this quite a bit more, because that's much lighter than what I was thinking. So let's go with just the pure Triumphant, which is the navy, and a little bit of the Blissful. And that's better. And we're going to blend this in a little bit, so don't worry about it being perfect. Same thing on the left eye. Is that about even? I think I brought the blue in a little bit more on my left, so I'll bring that in a little bit. Alright, so don't get rid of your palettes yet, because you're going to definitely need those for your under eye and everything. But I'm just going to come in with a nice fluffy shading, like blending brush, and just kind of soften those lines a little bit. Okay. Now, I don't know if you can see this, but this is why, yeah, this is why you don't do your under eye makeup when you're doing a darker color, because if you have fallout like I did, you can kind of see it's kind of like, you can come back in with concealer and clean that up. Sometimes you can just take a cotton ball and kind of pick up some of the excess shadow there, which does work well, but it'll look better with the concealer. I am not going to do my under eye quite yet as far as the liner and everything, because I'm going to go ahead and go in with my foundation and my concealer, starting with my foundation. And you guys know me, this is Scarlet. I need to order some more because I'm like milking the bottle. But this is Scarlet. Alright, so get a few drops there. Remember, working from the center of the face out. Take my foundation brush. And you see I'm running that right up to underneath my eye. There, which is why I didn't do my under the eye makeup yet. Forehead. Forehead, forehead, forehead. Excuse me. That was a hiccup. Down. Alright, concealer. Scarlet concealer. Just dabbing this on with my finger. I'm going to go back in with my concealer brush. I don't know if you can see the kind of shape I'm doing here. Kind of a triangle shape. That's to highlight my cheekbone. Alright, there's my foundation. There's my foundation brush. Okay. And this is just to buff it a little bit to make sure it's not super stark. Just kind of blending it in a little bit. Make sure it looks natural. Doing a little circular motions helps keep your pores from looking like they're gigantic. Okay. I've come to the conclusion that my dog just does not like to have me do anything that doesn't involve him. Because if I do, he whines. He comes in, he pulls on me. Which with his long nails is rather painful. That's how I come to the conclusion that he just does not like me to do anything that does not involve him equally. Okay, so nice blank canvas there. Alright, so powder. I don't use a really heavy hand with my powder. I use just a little bit, really. Because all I'm doing is really just setting my makeup with it. I'm not really using it as a foundation, because I already have foundation on. So it's just kind of a light dusting over the skin, over where I did that concealer highlight. Just a light little thing like that. And then I'm going to take my bronzer and do a little bit of contour. And this is the Beachfront in Sunset bronzer, so it's this one. It's the lightest one we have because, as you can see, I am pale. So I'm just kind of falling right underneath my cheekbone down to a point, and then kind of blending it back up a little bit. So just to give you a little bit of shadow. You don't want to have like racing stripe down your face. You can see how that kind of gives me a little bit of definition there. I have a roundish face, full face, so it's kind of hard for me to get a chiseled look for obvious reasons. I'm going to contour the sides of my forehead. Isn't that fun how people used to say things? They called it a forehead and not a forehead. Oh man. I watched a great little series on YouTube yesterday while I was waiting to go to my guitar rehearsals, band rehearsals, whatever you want to call it, and it was all about like makeup from the Edwardian period to the 30s, and then from like the 40s on to the 70s. It was really interesting. Had a historian on there that actually collected a lot of the cosmetics from that time period, and they were just so much fun. Like, depending on the era, what number one was thought of as being allowed, because you weren't supposed to wear makeup or much makeup in the Edwardian period. But what was allowed, and how they applied it, and honestly how dangerous some of it was, because some of it was based off of like arsenic and different things like that. Alright, so blush. My favorite Moodstruck Minerals Scandalous. Tap, tap, just a little bit. And going right above where I did that contour. So I still kind of hold on to that highlight. If anybody could hear that clock going off saying it was 4 o'clock, it's not 4 o'clock. The clock is wrong. Okay, so there's my blush. So I can finish up my eye. So I'm going to start with my eyeliner. I'm going to be using just the regular precision pencil in Perfect, which is black. And this has become like my favorite eyeliner ever, simply because it goes on smooth, almost like a liquid liner or a gel liner, but it also stays on once it sets. It's like it glues to your lid almost. It's amazing. It stays on until you want to take it off, so it's not running everywhere, bleeding everywhere, all that stuff. So I'm going to kind of close line my upper lid, at least towards the front. Darcy, stop pulling my feet. And I'm not going to be quite as, I want to get down into the lash line on the all the way across, but I'm also going to wing this out, so it can be a little bit wider at the outer corner of the eye. So I'm going to wing out my black liner, if it'll do it. There we go. And then kind of bring thicker line out to meet it. And I'm going to take, it's like I got a little spot there, a little thin. There we go. Alright, so then I'm going to take and line my waterline with the same black. Okay. So same thing over here. Tight lining your lashes. Don't tug too much on your eye because you don't want to like give yourself wrinkles, but just enough to have your skin relatively taut so it's easy to draw a line on. Okay, we're going to wing out this side too. And we're going to go thicken this end a little bit so you have a little more of a cat eye there. I freehand my wing. I probably shouldn't because it's probably not as even as it should be. If you need to, you can put a piece of Scotch tape right there to give you a nice sharp line. You can use a business card. Lay it right across here to get that nice line too. I just prefer freehanding. Okay. So instead of bringing the instead of bringing the black liner under my lashes here, I still want to do something to accentuate those bottom lashes a little bit. So I'm going to go back into my palette 2 and go in my transition shade, but I think I'm going to go with just Perplexed and not mix it with Hopeless. So just Perplexed, which is the kind of darker medium gray. I'm just going to run that kind of under the edge of my wing, right along the edge of my lower lashes. And if you want to soften and blur that upper lash line, just take a little bit of this Perplexed gray and just run it over your liner using kind of a firm hand so you actually do blur it a little bit. This will also smoke out the line a little bit, make it look a little bit more smoky eye. So even though I've used blues on this, you definitely don't have to. You could just go with the grays in the palette too. I just used a little bit of the blue in the outer corner just to bring it out a little bit more. Alright, so for the final little zhuzh, except for the mascara, we're going into palette 5. And you see that brilliant shimmery right there? It's actually silver. It looks white when you do it that way, but it's really, really holographic almost. So this, I'm going to take on my liner brush, I'll get it in a minute, and I'm going to dab it on the inner corner, top and bottom of the inner corner of my eye to bring light in. And I think what I'm going to do is actually run it along the underside of where I had the Perplexed on the lower lid, leading out to that wing. Leading out to that wing. And I don't know if you can kind of see that. See how it brightens it up underneath? Brings a lot of light right there. You could actually do it on the top, but I want to maintain some of the darkness from the liner up top. But this just brings in that silver pop. And actually you could take this, just a little bit of this on your, you could could use anything. You could use your finger, but I'll take my shader brush, the other end of my liner brush, to the fluffy end. I'm going to go in there, just tap a little bit of that. I'm going to run that right on my brow bone, right underneath my eyebrow. See how much that whop pops it open there? Same thing over here. So, whoo-hoo. This is a party look though. So this is your Christmas, maybe your New Year's, Hanukkah, whatever, you know, one of your looks might want to be. Let's see. I need to do my eyebrows, and I think I'm going to use powder because I like using powder in my brows instead of using the pencil most times. Honestly, I like the pencil, but I prefer doing this. I'm going to use palette number 4's Brave, which is that shade of brown, to fill in my eyebrows. So I'm just kind of following the natural curve of my eyebrow on the top, and then bringing it in on the bottom, and filling that in. And then towards the front, I'm just doing like little itty bitty strokes because you want your front of your brow to be a little bit lighter than the back end. So I'm just doing that. And there you go, you can see. Alright, so same thing over here. Under the brow. Tie it into that line. And then still. You're stopping about a quarter of the way from the front, I guess, close to a quarter of the way from the front, and just filling that in a little bit, because it doesn't need to be quite as dark as, like, say, your outer corner does. So you see how much that, like, does for the eyes there? And I'll still use the brow gel just to kind of tame my brows, because I have crazy wild brows. If I don't, like, really trim them and keep them well groomed, they go everywhere. Alright, now for lips. I'm not going to do red. I did red yesterday. I'm still going to use my Pompous liner, which is the same liner I used yesterday. And I showed you how to highlight your lips and everything to try to make them look fuller yesterday too, which I might do today too. But I think I'm going to be using actually one of our lip bonbons instead of a regular lipstick, because I don't really have the color I want a regular lipstick yet. No. Okay. That's what I'm going to do. So, I'm going to take my lip liner. You do your Cupid's bow with a cross, remember? You take your lower. Fill in the outer corners with my lip liner. So you can kind of already see that shape where you want to have a double lobed lips. Thank you, Kylie Jenner, for that fad, but most of us don't have those. So then I'm going to take my lip bonbon. This one is Red Velvet Cake, so it's slightly berry color. So it ends up being this really pretty berry shade, which I think with the silver, being that the eyes are so dramatic, that's probably better. Oh, I need to do mascara. Ha! can't finish an eye look off without our 3D Fiber Lash Mascara. Alright, so transplanting gel. Fibers. Oh, had one fall out of my nose to get that. Okay, fibers. I'm just going to do gel on my lower lashes. I don't really want to do the fibers today. Okay, so moving over to the left eye. The gel. Fibers. I think if I was actually going to do this go to a party, I think I would put the fibers on my lower lashes and do 2 coats of the fiber lash on my upper. But since I'm just wearing this, honestly, to my guitar lesson after this, I'm just going with just 1 coat of the fibers on my upper lashes and just a coat of the gel on the lower. Now I'm going to take a cotton ball, and where I've lost some of the fibers when I was putting them on, just kind of sweep them off. Alright, so I don't know if you guys can see how well you can see that. My lighting is not really all that great. Let me try with just my natural light. There we go. Let me turn that one off. You can kind of get the idea a little better, I think, with my little natural light thing that I use for my selfies. But that's the look. Hope you guys like that one, and I will see you guys soon. Turn the light back on. I will talk to you guys later. Bye.